I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Here.
Dumont.
Here.
Jeremy.
Here.
Mallett.
Here.
McNutt.
Here.
Nedrow.
Here.
O'Brien.
Here. Do we have any additions to business?
None tonight, thank you.
Okay. Approval of the agenda.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Dumont to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I don't believe we really had, well, we did have some correspondence. We had a couple letters here. We had one from Mr. Daly, email, and an email also from Mr. Berndorf. And I believe that was it.
Yes, that's correct.
So with that, motion to receive and file.
Motion. Second.
That was a motion by Duff, second by Dumont to receive and file correspondence. And that moves us on to the first call to the public. An opportunity for citizens to address council on agenda items only. If you could please state your name, address, and limit yourself to 5 minutes, please. Mr. Daly. 5 minutes.
Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Sure.
Nice to see you all again. My name is Tom Daly. I live at 2381 Ventura, and I'm here today to talk about item 12G on the agenda. I think it's best if we address this as what the topic is rather than what's stated in the line item as a referral for a closed session discussion. I think it's better, it can be more clearly defined as a proposal to discuss the potential condemnation of part of the property at 2381 Ventura in order to address past mistakes made by the village and its contractors. As many of you may not have been present through most of this issue, I know there's a lot of people here that are new. I sent the village a historical summary last week that spans almost 5 years. I request that summary, I think that you have, and Mr. Berndorf's note to be put into the meetings. He was not able to be here in support of this, but he is also not in support of the process or any potential condemnation discussion. I also think that village residents should have access to information on what's being considered for this property. If the village is considering that you're going to condemn this property based on mistakes that were made by the village itself and its contractors, other properties are at risk in the future. And residents deserve to know what actions village employees and representatives they've elected are going to discuss and choose to support. I also did a quick canvass over the last week of approximately 20 properties that were located on both sides of 2381 Ventura on the streets there. I wasn't able to review the issue with all of the owners. Availability for some of them was not so good. But I was able to get significant input from 15 of them. This allows me to present a signed petition to the council asking to relocate the public sewer infrastructure placed on this private property incorrectly and put it back onto existing public property. This is where it should have been placed. This is where it should have been placed all the time originally, and it should have been placed in a manner that minimized any access impact to all the private properties on the street. And unfortunately, although the village hasn't been able to identify this as a proper resolution over the last 4 or 5 years, it didn't take much time for the property owners to understand what happened and to support a prudent method for correcting the situation. So I want to go on record as thanking them for their support, and I also hope that the village leaders can use this to understand and right the wrong that has taken place here. I submit this petition and a copy of these remarks that I'm making right now, and I hope that those can also be placed in the public so that they can be put in the minutes. Now, to go back and get to the crux of the matter, I want to ask you guys again, as I asked the council in 2018, and I realize not everybody here was on council in 2018, can the village provide any written documentation that identifies it has ever had any legal right to place public infrastructure on the private property of 2381 Ventura? I have not been able to identify any through my personal records, through county records, or contact with the previous owner, okay? I talked to the previous owner that's still around. He's confirmed he's not aware of any hearsay or any verbal discussion on this matter that took place either. The second question that I asked them was if they could provide a rationale as to why public infrastructure would be placed on private property, not public property, if proper legal documentation was never secured. I'm still waiting for these answers 4 years later. Finally, I would like to ask the council to answer a couple of other questions if they can. Was the plan that created this issue ever reviewed with the council? Was it ever brought to the council and reviewed and made sure that it had all the sign-offs and everything that it needed to? I'd also like to know from the council what other projects of this scope are completed by the village without formal written documentation to support them. And finally, if the village has never had any legal documentation, I would like to know why it's proposing a discussion on condemnation of this property when the village and its contractors are solely responsible for its placement. The owners had nothing to do with it. So in summary, there is no current hardship requiring this infrastructure to remain on private property, as there's ample public property available. There's over 3,000 square feet at the street on there that can be used. Pursuing condemnation would burden a private property and owners into perpetuity with potential negative consequences. It can have some consequences. Resolution should be the responsibility of those that created, authorized, and implemented the plan to install this public infrastructure on private property. Namely, the village and its contractors are who is responsible for it. So as representatives of the private property owners of the village, right, you have the opportunity to correct this course and do the right thing for this property now and in the future so that it's not burdened. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Anybody else in the public want to speak on agenda items? Seeing none? I guess we'll close the public comment for the first call of the public, so.
Motion closed.
Second. Motion is Dumont, was it? Second by Malik. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay. The consent agenda.
Motion.
Actually, I'd like to remove minutes.
Oh, okay.
So with the removal of the regular council meeting minutes.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Dumont to approve consent agenda minus the minutes of the regular council meeting. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Malik?
Yes.
McNutt?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Pedro?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Dumont?
Yes.
And the only reason I wanted to remove was there was 3 typos. And get the pages right here. First page. And basically it's Christine Nedrow's first name is spelled K-R-I-S-T-Y, not Christine. So that was,
I don't live in the village.
that's fine, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure.
We'll forgive you.
Just wanted to make sure it was accurate. So that was on page 1, under item 6. It was on page 4, under the motion by Dumont, seconded by Malik to appoint Christine Nedrow, Amanda Mogg, members of the Beautification Committee. And then also under, on page 5, under section F, just under the motion. I believe that was it, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, that's all I had for that. Board appointments, we have none. Moving on to 10A, recommendations.
Do we need a motion to approve the minutes as of?
Oh, that's right.
Make
Yeah,
a
we probably
motion
do.
to approve the changes to the minutes
Yes, yep.
from the September 14th.
That was a motion by Malik, a second by Duff to approve the regular council minutes as amended. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Now we can go on to Mr. Powell. So we got the 2022 crack sealing program.
Correct, Council, and this is budgeted each year, major and minor roads. A&R Seal Coating has been doing the crack sealing in the village probably for the last 15 years. They've, for the first time in my memory, they've increased their prices from 49 cents per lineal foot to 60 cents per lineal foot. That's still under what all the other contractors bid in previous years even. So although they've raised their prices this year, A&R Seal Coating is the lowest bid, and I have to mention they're the only bid for the crack sealing program, and they've typically been the only bid for the last 5 years or so because the other competitors can't compete. So we highly recommend, we did legally advertise this in the Spinal Column, and then we personally invited 3 other contractors, none of which did submit a bid. So we're recommending that council authorize the awarding of the contract to A&R Seal Coating at 60 cents per lineal foot using budgeted funds.
Motion.
Second. Motion by Duff, second by Malik. Any discussion?
Yeah, I do have a question for you. Last meeting, we discussed, and you said Apple Orchard was up for paving come spring or summer, however it works out.
Correct. Yes.
Can you explain, so if anybody's viewing it on TV or YouTube, they'll know how the seal programming goes? I was asked a question by someone who lives in Apple Orchard.
Sure.
So, it's about what it is.
The crack sealing program, we always start with the newest roads first, just to catch the roads that might have developed some cracks over the summer, to make sure that we safeguard the newest roads first. Then we work backwards through the village to the oldest roads, and we work within budgeted funds. If we still have funds left and we have to do, and if there's still budgeted funds left, typically I go into the road paving program that might be done in the future, because we really don't know if it's going to be paved next year or the year after, or we're going to be postponing it. So I just do it from the newest roads to the oldest roads and do it until the budget is expended.
I noticed that we had like 16,000 lineal feet on here.
Correct. That's the mathematical lineal foot
Right,
that
so
can be done.
It could be plus or minus, depending.
Correct.
Based upon.
Correct.
Mike, I've got some questions about seal coating in general.
Yes.
I've been walking around the last year looking at these cracks and checking out how they weather over the season, and I'm having a hard time finding any that still have the sealant remaining in the crack. So, and I took a bunch of pictures because I was trying to find one where the sealant went down to stop water, and I couldn't see that any of the sealant would stop any water, or more than maybe a month after it's laid. And I know that we have to be inside of the rules because of the environment, and that changes the product.
Right.
Are there materials that are more elastomeric, that are better for our climate, something that would hold up, might even cost more, but would at least give the illusion that it's working?
I'd love to walk those with you, quite frankly, because when I've looked at them, they've remained sealed, especially on the bridge, which is our most important area that we seal coat. When they come in, we do it later in the year, because as the temperature falls, the asphalt cracks get as large as they are ever going to get. In the summertime, they shrink, and in the wintertime, they expand. The contractor blows them out, heats those cracks up, and then puts their hot tar down in it and fills them full until they're overflowing, and then they squeegee them off in a line. The product we're using is the product approved and recommended by MDOT. That's the same stuff they use on their expressways and the state and county roads. So I don't know how to respond, but I'd love to walk the projects with you and identify those, because quite frankly, I'd like to show those to the contractor as well.
Sure.
In my checking and my inspections, I've not noticed that, and I'd like to see that.
Okay, yeah.
I have a question, David.
Is there a specific area that you looked at? Because I have a lot, I'm on a corner of Thurston and Ellington. And both of those streets at that intersection have a lot of seal coating put in, and it's all still intact. That's why I asked, I don't know, is it an area that deteriorates, or is the
Okay.
traffic so much heavier?
Sure, I follow. What I'm talking about isn't the part that you would see if you look down. If you look down, there's probably a 2.5-inch wide strip that is left of tar, right? Something like that, roughly.
Yeah.
And it's thin because it's squeegeed off, right?
The top's squeegeed off, you
Yeah.
don't leave a mound up, but then it's squeegeed down in the crack.
Yeah.
Right.
So the portion that's in the crack is what I'm talking about.
Right.
It is cracked as well. And if you look down in the crack, if you pour a bottle of water on it, the water runs right down. And if the idea is that the sealant is to keep water from going between the substrate and the asphalt, so that when it freezes, it breaks.
Correct.
It does other destructive
Right.
to the even the substrate. Well, if we're trying to prevent that and water can flow through it, is there a better way, or is this the best we can get? Is this the best solution? If it is, great, we'll go with it.
I'm going to state again that this is the best that I know of and what's recommended by MDOT and the Road Commission. If it's not going down in the cracks, are the cracks that you're seeing very shallow, or are they really deep?
Deep, yeah.
Because you're right, we're trying to fill those cracks to stop the water from going in this time of the year and in the wintertime when salt's put on the roads and we have water going down in those cracks. We don't want to do that. So I'd really like walking that with you. And preferably in the next couple weeks, because they're going to be crack sealing again the first part of November.
I'm usually out in the yard, stop by. Go for a
Okay.
walk.
All right,
Yeah.
sounds great.
I have additional for Michael. I brought up at last meeting the strip mall on Glengarry, just south of the Dairy Queen. There's a pothole that leads out of their driveway into the Apple Orchard Street. And I looked at it again today, and it's really in a bad way.
Yes.
So I think we need to ask you to address our
I would be
administrator to contact the owner to do something with it before winter.
I went out and took a look at that after last month's meeting, and Bob is absolutely correct. It's a fairly good-sized pothole, 4 to 6 inches deep, but it's in the commercial driveways parking, or in their driveway. I would never recommend village spend village funds in repairing a private driveway. However, a letter to the owner, if they can't determine themselves that it would be better for business to have that pothole fixed, then maybe a little incentive from the village might be in order to ask them to fix their driveway. If I were visiting that place, I would probably enter their other driveway, or maybe even find someplace else to go if I was going to be falling in a pothole.
It's pretty bad.
It's not the only pothole in that parking
Yeah,
lot.
the whole
Yes.
parking lot
Right.
is in distress. But again, my concern was the fact that that pothole is leading into one of the village roads, and if it keeps deteriorating, that means the road totally deteriorates. So,
Okay, anything else?
thank you.
Question for you.
Yes.
The culvert.
Yes.
Have a vote?
Yeah, I guess we can talk about that. We had a motion, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Second? All right. Well, I guess we'll go roll call vote, because it's about $10,000.
Malik,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Nedrow,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Dumont,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Okay. Culvert.
The Shanken Road culvert? Yes. The bids that we received last year, the low bidder has agreed to hold his price from last year. I have not contacted him yet to find out what his schedule would be for this fall or early winter, but it is scheduled to be done this year and completed.
That'll be done
So,
after, probably when we get the lake completely drained down, right?
We need it down below normal and down as far as we can possibly get it. That'll dry that bottom of that culvert up and allow them to remove it with skid steers and backhoes instead of with pumps.
Right, okay. So we're planning on go a little extra low then, I guess?
That's the plan,
Okay.
right.
I hate to throw this at you, but I have one more. With our attorney, anything new with the
Oh.
McCoy Pond?
No,
We've heard nothing else from the homeowner, no.
No.
And the issue is squarely in their court at this point.
Thank you.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Council.
Mike? We have no public hearings, so we'll move on to item 12A, which is Water Management Board recommendation to begin lake drawdown on October 31st instead of October 1st this year.
Motion.
Second. Motion by Duff, second by Mr. Malik.
So discussion on that, are we drawing the lake down further because of the culvert?
Yeah. From what I understand, that we're going to be drawing it down further, but
Yes.
How much further?
I believe it's about 18 inches further, 12 inches to 18 inches further, right down to the lowest level that
Wow.
the sluice gates can let it out.
so we're going down about roughly 36 inches from,
About 30 inches.
30 inches from our normal
summer.
summer level. Okay.
Is it enough time?
that-
Should be enough time if we start the 31st?
Yeah.
Andy can set up.
Yeah, without,
We can drain it a lot faster than we do.
yeah, without inundating Commerce Lake.
Yeah. Yes. And that's for the Drain Commission. I mean,
Okay.
we went up, talked to the Drain Commission, and they said, I mean, we could really let the lake down a lot faster than we do without really
Overwhelming.
inhibiting, either Commerce Lake or wetlands in between or anything, so it's not an issue there. Okay, anything else on?
Just,
yeah, go ahead.
I talked to Andy Stone about this the other day a little bit, because Andy has some concerns about narrowing the window too much. Part of it is, as you've indicated, the outflow to Commerce to the north. But then also the idea that part of the thinking behind the gradual drawdown is it makes people aware as they see the lake level go down, that they need to make arrangements to get their boats out of the water and to make arrangements to take care of their docks and seawalls and things like that. So, Andy says this is obviously a manageable schedule. And he just asked that everybody keep in mind that these are guidelines. There's nothing written in stone. We have not been running the pumps at all. The lake level is down now probably 4 or 5 inches from what the normal depth would be because we haven't had any rain. So it's naturally drying down, but this is doable. But again, he just asked that everybody recognize that it's going to be weather dependent. It's going to vary from year to year, and these are just general guidelines. But he doesn't have a problem with it. So.
As long as we don't get 10 tsunamis before December 1st, we should be in good shape, so.
Well, the wind should definitely help push.
Yeah.
Storm surge.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries on that. Item B, Parks and Rec Board recommends council release budgeted funds for Halloween decorating contest.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dumont, second by Duff. And saw the flyer come out. It looks good, so.
Seen a couple nice houses already, just driving through the neighborhood.
Mark, what are the prizes this year?
The winners get a sign stating that they're a winner, and then they get a gift card to, I believe it's Lowe's, to help them restock,
That's awesome.
add new display materials and things.
I've had comments from friends of mine that live nearby that say that there's more decorations in Mulberry Lake than their neighborhoods, and they're getting jealous. I said, yeah, well, we've got big prizes. So, and how many prizes, I'm sorry, how many positions?
We have 3 winners, and this year it's a little different in that each winner is a unique prize as opposed to just a first, second, third. Instead, it's scariest, and then one's mostly, there's just different styles to them this year. And that'll be the same for the Christmas contest as well. So we're trying to change it up so we don't just have the same winners that go all out. Have different styles to them.
And which day is the judging?
The contest, the deadline to submit is the 24th, and then the judging will be, I believe, on the 26th.
26th.
So,
Anything else? Let's do a roll call, I guess.
Alec?
Yes.
McNutt?
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Dumont.
Yes.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to 2022 fish stocking, and we have Mr. Sinkowitz, who's on the water board.
I'd like to
here.
make a motion to open to Mr. Sinkowitz.
Motion by Dove, second by Mr. Malik. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay, Ed, you're up.
I've been trying to get a hold of the different fish stocking places, and I called the DNR, and they weren't quick to recommend anybody, but we've been using the Pontiac. I called them over a month ago, and they gave me prices, and every time I call them, it goes up about 15 or 20%. And I said, well, what's depending on what size fish you got? And I said, well, what kind of fish you gonna have? Well, we don't know. And I said, well, last year we wanted walleye and you didn't have it. So we took all pike. So I think, I explained to her who I was, and I said that obviously somebody from the village, well, that's the best. I think they can hear me.
They can't. The lady from the back said no.
You guys can't hear me?
Oh, we can, but she can't for recording purposes. Yeah, recording
So,
purposes.
be it as it may, right now, the walleye is $2.60 a fish. Crappie are going to be $3, give or take. We got a special on northern pike. They're about 20 inches long and they're $13.50. And bass are at least $6.50 for a 6-inch bass. I had a chance to talk to some people at the DNR that had a little bit of background on our lake. There's such a changeover. And I was just thinking to myself, and this is not from the board, this is just because I started the fish stocking program some 30-some years ago. I've been doing it every year since. We've got bass, which is a predator. We have northern pike. We have walleye. And I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to put some more feeder fish in it, because everybody has noticed there's a shortcoming of bluegills in the lake. And I would think that unless the DNR or somebody has a better idea, it might not be a bad year to really load a bunch of minnows in the lake, like we've done in the past, feeder fish. But if not, walleye would probably be the best deal. And the other thing that's strange, now, I haven't been able to contact anybody else, but if you get bluegill, they're hybrid and they don't reproduce. So I figured if we've got enough bluegill, if we give them a chance to reproduce and grow, that'll be a source of feed. So I'll leave you with this. I gave the guys a number, and there's also, called twice, never got a phone back, but Michigan DNR Fish Stocking. That's a computer website that can be beneficial. But I would have to think that we definitely have quite a bit of walleye, even though they don't reproduce. That would be a fish that would go in and eventually get caught and taken out, but I really think it would be a good idea to
It's probably been about 5 years that we put minnows in.
Yeah.
Minnows last time, 270 pounds in 2018.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay. Ed, I have a question. How about perch? Did you get any pricing on that at all?
Well, perch are in the walleye category, and they don't seem to, they live, but they don't get to any size.
Okay.
And in our lake, it's not like in Lake Erie or someplace where that's a perfect environment. The walleye survive because they're big enough and they can get it, they can take care of themselves.
Yeah, well, the reason I asked,
Yeah.
I'm just looking at a sheet that goes back to '88. We put perch in 1,530 back in '01, and then we put in 800 back in '08.
You know, it's funny, I've talked to other people, as long as I've lived here and as much as I fish and the grandkids, kids in there, I've never seen anybody catch a perch.
No. I've seen some small ones, not anything of
Yeah.
any size.
And the
They're probably
walleye,
bigger than the bait.
you know, I've seen
Last
posts
year through the ice.
people are
Oh,
happy
yeah.
catching the walleyes.
Yeah. Okay, I'll leave you with this information, and any other questions?
Well, so what are you really recommending? You're recommending small feeder
I would
fishing?
think- Whatever we spend, what is it, 18?
$2,500.
$2,500 worth of minnow. That would be my thought, and whether we do one kind of minnow or another kind of minnow, you know, and I also think if we do the minnow, because they kind of congregate together, half here and half maybe on a vacant spot over on Penny Lake. Spread them out a little bit.
Do you recommend any walleye at all?
Well, yeah, but then if we're limited to money-wise, then, you know, I think, you know, 100 pounds of minnow versus 50 pounds, you know, that, and I would really, like I said, I was in Georgia for a week, but before I left and when I came home, and I tried again today, you get that Michigan DNR number left in my name, and we got to find out something, because once hunting season starts, they never answer their phone.
Yeah.
They're too busy out in the field. But I would think that a feeder fish like the minnow would, and if we do that, my recommendation would be to spread it out. 2 different sites, 3 different sites, depending how many we get. I don't know how many you get for a pound. There's got to be at least
A lot.
50 in a
Yeah,
pound.
I think so.
So, if any other questions, let me know, and
Okay.
we'll go from there. Thank you, Council.
Water Management Board, what were they talking about? I know you weren't at the meeting, but
What's that?
what did the board suggest?
Well, we didn't because Ed wasn't there, so we
Okay,
didn't know what,
okay,
you know,
okay.
we knew the prices were up. I like the thought, and this is, I'm on the board, but I don't have the majority here to answer with me, but I like putting in some more walleye. I mean, we do see posts where people are catching bigger walleye that have been there, they've been there for years, and if they're catching them and taking them, I think part of that, I hate to put $2,500 into little feeder fish. You know, that's my thought, and maybe a third of that into walleye. Might not be a lot, but it'll be something for the future.
Well, my thing is, like I said, we didn't, unfortunately, I came home and then at the meeting, and I looked, and I says, you know, I had a meeting tonight at 10 o'clock, and I missed it. So I'm bad, but like I said, and you guys can decide, my thinking is you put in more walleye, they're consuming more of the smaller fish.
Yeah.
And I think, in my opinion, the walleye consume the large majority of the feeder fish that are in the lake, and the pike.
I didn't see many bluegills at all
I haven't
this
seen
year. I mean,
bluegills around the house at all.
hardly at all.
Crappie, I mean,
There's a couple good-sized crappie I caught,
Yeah,
but not many small fish.
and I just don't know
Oh, a little bit of minnows, but
if you did a half and half, the amount of minnows you're putting in is like,
minuscule.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like painting over a rust spot, it's going to come back.
Well, but you know, if I'm a little guy and I go out there fishing, to catch something like this or something like this, okay, what does the mindset tell you? The
We
kid wants to
also
catch
have
the
to,
big fish.
also have to remember that those walleye have an effect on our lake completely. And I think that's why there's such a shortage of bluegill. And bluegill are the feeder fish in the lake.
Yeah,
So the next thing you know,
you don't have walleye anymore.
yep.
yep.
Okay,
Okay,
good night, thank you.
okay, thanks.
Thanks, Edward.
Well,
Motion to close.
yep,
Second.
motion by Dumont, second by Duff to close the public.
I tend to agree with Ed. They probably want to put all feeder fish in.
It's been 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like I say, I'm going by the last sheet I had, which was I got in April of '21. I don't have what we put in last year.
We put bass in.
Feeders were 2018.
Bob, do you want to
It's all
split
bass,
up, you want to split up between feeder fish and walleye? Is that
Well,
what you're thinking?
Yeah, I like the fact, here, walleye don't reproduce in our lake. Okay?
I disagree with that.
Well, that's what they say.
They
So
say
I'm
it,
going,
but I've-
I'm going by what they're saying. But, you know, it's a fish that he eats up the little ones and he grows. And anybody that likes fishing, like I say, you don't want to catch a 4-inch fish when you can catch a 10-inch fish.
Except you gotta have 4-inch fish to
You
get a
know,
10-inch fish.
so-
That's the only kicker there, yeah.
There's no feeder fish left, they won't grow.
Right, yeah. And with all bass last year, and I think it was all walleye the year before
It's
that,
a tough
wasn't it?
one. I mean, I'm not against putting in
Yeah.
the feeders, don't get me wrong, but I just look at the down the road, it's more pleasurable to catch a larger fish.
Yeah, that's-
And
I guess
unless
that's what
they're
you
in
gotta
there,
think
you're not
about down
gonna
the road,
catch
too.
them.
That's true.
So, I mean,
But
you go,
why don't, but I don't think it's a bad idea to split it up either.
right.
Can we do that? Can we just split it
Yeah, I
up?
believe we
Whatever you
can.
want
But
to.
here's something to remember too. How many years back did we put in a chemical to kill all the little fish?
No, we
I
didn't.
know that goes back 15, 18
You talking about the
years ago.
sonar?
Pardon?
Talking about the sonar?
Yeah.
No, that
No, that
didn't
doesn't kill fish.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, so we eliminated because we had too many little fish.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
I don't believe that's ever
No,
happened.
we didn't do that.
Whatever's council's choice, I'm not against any of it. I like adding to the lake and keeping the fish moving, so.
Well, what's everybody else think?
I'll
I know there's
motion,
lots over this side. of the
I'll
table,
motion
but-
that it's 50% feeder fish and 50% walleye. And then that will allow the fish that need food to eat, some may make it.
Some won't.
Some won't. And then we also have walleye. That's my motion.
I second that.
Well, I kind of agree with that.
I
The
do
more
too.
feeder fish are better, because you've got walleye in there right now that are what, maybe 8 inches? If they've got some feeder fish.
There's some big walleye in there
Oh,
right
I
now.
know, I
mean,
know, but
big
there's also
whoppers.
small ones. And, you know, my neighbors caught some nice crappie the other night,
yep.
you know. But I've been out there fishing, and the biggest perch I ever caught was about 4 or 5 inches,
Right.
you know. Take it off, put it back in, you know. And bluegill, haven't seen them.
Yep.
You know, just have for a long time. But, I mean, you know, I did catch a bass, and while I was reeling it in, a pike hit it. So I ended up with 2 for 1 on that. But, you know, what I'm saying is that the 8-inch walleye that are in there will get bigger by eating the feeder fish, or they'll get bigger by eating the other small fish you put in, you know, that are game fish.
Right.
Either way, they're going to get big, so, I mean, I don't disagree with splitting it up. I just think maybe like 1/3, 2/3, or 1/4, 3/4, with the bigger portion being the feeder fish would be more beneficial, at least for,
And I think,
Since we haven't done
personally,
it
I think we just go with all the minimums, like Ed said, just feeder fish, because it's been 4 years since we have.
And I'll withdraw my second. David? would-
Yeah, I'll withdraw the motion, make it 100%.
I think that makes sense this year, because we've been putting bigger
Feeder
fish
fish.
in the last 3 years, and but we don't see any small fish, so, I mean, it makes sense to have something a
I'll
little smaller.
second his new motion.
Okay,
You know, and the consensus being, I think everybody wants the little fish to grow, so they're going to feed them, so
yeah, I
let's
think
go
it
with
makes
that.
sense. So with that, motion to put all feeder fish in, I guess we'll have to get pricing on feeder fish, because I don't think Ed had that, but.
So you need a
well, not to exceed 25.
Not to exceed
Not to exceed
$2,500.
$2,500, yeah. Yep.
Budgeted funds.
From budgeted funds. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
McNutt,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Medrow,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Dumont,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Alec,
Yes.
Okay.
So I will call the fish farm tomorrow. I talked to them this afternoon. They're expecting me to call at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So,
Imlay City?
yes, in Minnesota, City, yeah. I will call them. The only possible problem might be that we do have to obtain the fish stocking permit from the DNR. They have the ultimate say on what goes in the lake. So unless they have a problem with the idea of putting $2,500 worth of feeder fish in, we should be good to go. So,
I know they've gone along with it in the past. Wouldn't think it would be an issue.
I wouldn't expect, but
Yep. Alrighty. Moving on, request to waive collection fees for Lake Village property tax payments.
Motion.
Second.
Well, what are we motioning? because we have a letter from our attorney that says we can't do anything about it, right?
Yeah, maybe, let
I didn't
me,
hear the motion. What was the motion?
That's what I'm saying. What was the motion?
Withdrawing motion.
Well, what was it? I missed it. I heard it seconded, but
I think what he's saying is the motion is to go by the attorney's recommendation. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Well, so our recommendation is, our direction is that you can't pay the late fees or the deadline when it is, because it's set by your charter. So you'd need a charter amendment to change that for village council to be authorized to do that. And there's nowhere in the tax law or the enabling legislation that allows you to do that either.
if I could just, for everybody's benefit, if I could just give the background here. Actually, this started with an email that you received.
Yep.
From a resident. If you remember, the week of August 29th is when we had the storm that blew through.
On Monday night.
On Monday night, and there was a part of the village that was without power for a good part of the week. And again, one of the residents had reached out to President Nedrow because they had lost power at home. They didn't realize that the end of August was approaching, that their tax payment was due. Once they got their power back on the following day, they contacted the village to see if they could get an extension, and the staff upstairs appropriately indicated that the staff didn't have the authority to grant the extension. The resident came in and made the payment, but that was September 1st, so the payment was already late by that point in time. So the email to President Nedrow followed. I was copied on it. I shared that with Jennifer Hansen, our treasurer. Jennifer's training has indicated to her that the village did not have the authority to waive the collection fees that were set by charter. That was my understanding also. But just to be sure, we referred the question over to Jennifer Orlowski's office, and as has been indicated, we did receive an opinion letter from Jennifer's office indicating that because it's set by charter that the village council does not have the authority to waive the collection fees which are set in the charter.
And incidentally, there was quite a few other people that were late on tax rules at that point too, so it just wasn't one resident, I guess.
And it wasn't just that week. I mean, we were receiving late payments really throughout the whole month of September. So I think we still receive late payments occasionally. Somebody was in just the other day, I think, to make a payment,
So I guess that's the case on that. I mean, we really can't authorize any change in the tax collection for late fees or anything, so I guess the motion would be what?
No motion.
No motion.
No motion.
Is that a motion to deny the request?
You do that.
Yeah.
Okay, motion to deny the request.
I'll second that.
Motion by Duff, second by Mr. Melick. Any other discussion?
Just have one thing. So you have an act of God. I know we're not in Florida. Hurricane Ian. You got no phones, no internet, no postal service, no nothing. So even if I mailed my payment on the 31st or on the 26th, and it doesn't get there till the 14th because of the post office, what our charter says is it's still late. Not even due to my fault. The village, in something like this, wouldn't even be open. Shouldn't we have something in there that gives us a little bit of leeway? Should maybe make an amendment to that at some point in time, so we have a little bit of leeway when something like this occurs? Because it sounds, if I understand what Dave said, we have an abnormal amount of residents that were late.
I don't know if it's abnormal.
Okay. Maybe I took that the wrong way, but...
And incidentally, the village was open. She did put her payment in the drop box that evening on the 1st. So.
Right.
I'd like to add something to that. Just as an example, last year, I set up my village taxes to be paid online, okay? I set them up to be paid like 5 days prior to the date that they were due. I set it up, the bank took care of it. I get a notice I was late. Well, come to find out, the bank doesn't pay those like they do on a credit card. They write a check to send. Okay, so that got hung up in the mail, even though I had a 4 or 5 day lead time. And I still got stuck with the penalty. But I went back to my bank and they reimbursed me the penalty because technically they didn't give it, and even though I set it up to a payment at a time, they agreed that the mail service wasn't my fault. But again, I got penalized because of the service, and I can understand what you're saying. You know, you're in a no-win situation.
If I could, just a couple comments. First of all, Bill, to your comment, we go by the postmark. So as long as your payment is postmarked by August 31st, we'll take that and there will not be...
Yeah, and they put the postmark on the day you take it to the post, unless you take it at midnight, then it doesn't get postmarked until the next day.
Right.
So you get that postmarked right away.
Yeah, and the staff at Tabitha and Paige are always real good. They always check the box first thing in the morning around tax time, and anything that's in the box the morning, in that morning is considered received the day before. So,
Okay.
But the other comment we'll make is just general. First of all, I'm sympathetic to the residents' situation. I mean, yeah, we were without power for a couple of days that week too. But I think we have to keep in mind too, tax bills are generated very early in July, around the 1st of July they go out. And the tax bills are due the end of August. So, and we send out reminders periodically, the blast emails from the village, remember your taxes are due. So, I understand a lot of people wait until the very last possible day to pay their taxes. They want to hold on to their money, as opposed to letting the village have the money early. But even under the worst of circumstances, all of our residents have roughly 2 months to make their tax payments after the bills go out. And in fact, if the bills are delayed in July, the charter does provide that the deadline is pushed out for the same amount of the delay. So you're always going to have 2 months to make your tax payment, 2 months from the time that the bills go out. If the bills go out the middle of July, then you're going to have until the middle of September. So it's not like this is a real narrow window that somebody hit. They hit 2 months to get their taxes paid. The majority of village residents do manage to get their taxes paid every year. And this year we had a few more that didn't, probably because of the fact that the power was out. But I think that's really more of a function of the storm than the regulations and rules that we have in place. As to whether or not we want to consider an amendment for the kind of exceptional circumstances that you're talking about, maybe that's something that council wants to discuss or think about. But that would require...
That'd be a charter change.
It would be something that would have to go on the ballot. The voters would have to approve the new charter language, yes.
Okay.
Plus, this is the first time this has happened, so, I mean, we're a storm.
Well, it was 2 days.
Yeah.
It was 2 days before, right?
It was Monday night.
Monday night and
Taxes were due on...
end of the day, Wednesday.
Yeah.
To be voted.
No, I don't think so. It's discussion. Okay, any more discussion? With that, let's go to roll call vote, please.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Nedrow,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Dumont,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Mallett,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
And just to follow up, I don't know if I necessarily need a motion, I guess I would defer to Jennifer on that, but if council doesn't have an objection, we have referenced the opinion letter that we got to the attorney. Is there any problem if I provide that opinion letter to the taxpayer that had requested the extension?
I don't see a reason why.
I'm okay with that. It's your privilege.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next item, resolution opposing the public transit millage. I know Dave, you want to handle this one.
Yeah, the council, this is something that I first mentioned to you in August. If you remember at the August council meeting, that was the night that the County Board of Commissioners was potentially voting to put this on the ballot, which in fact they did vote to put it on the ballot. I mentioned it again in September, indicated that we were trying to gain more information about it. And we have gathered more information. And I indicated last month that, based upon the information I had at that time, that I expected I would be bringing a resolution like this in opposition to the proposed millage to you for your consideration at this month's meeting. Well, the other information I've gotten since that time, nothing has changed my opinion as the village administrator and as a resident here. As I've indicated before, this is a proposal that we received very little advance notice from the Board of Commissioners that they were even considering this. We had basically no opportunity for any input on the proposed ballot language. The current vendor that we use, People's Express, which provides a very good service to our residents at what is a very beneficial rate to village residents, they have been excluded per the ballot language as a potential vendor. Now, we've heard broad statements from the county that there may be other service providers or vendors that will be included down the road, but the fact of the matter is that when the ballot language was approved, our county commissioner, Christine Long, made a specific motion to amend the ballot language to allow our vendor to be specified as one of the vendors that would receive funding from the millage, and that request for an amendment was denied, was voted down. So the bottom line is our current vendor is excluded per the millage language. And again, as we've mentioned, I've talked about before, unlike the millage that was generated by the Public Transportation Authority in the past, we have no opt-out. We have no option to say that this isn't going to work for the village. The bottom line is, if it passes countywide, even if everybody in the village voted against this, all of our property owners are going to have to pay more in taxes. So the bottom line is, in my opinion, this is an increase in taxes, new taxes, for less service than what the village residents are getting right now. It doesn't make sense to me as the administrator. It doesn't make sense to me as a resident. I would recommend that you approve the resolution that I put before you opposing the transit millage. And if it's approved, then I'll circulate that to the county executive office and to all of the Board of Commissioners and to some other communities in Oakland County.
Well, there's other communities that are in the same boat that we're in also. There's probably, 16 at least?
I'd say probably between 18 and 20 different communities that I know are opposed to the millage for basically the same reason. Last night, Commerce Township adopted a resolution in opposition. I think the city of Wixom has adopted a resolution before.
They actually put out a video, right?
Yeah. They have a YouTube video.
YouTube video you can go to.
Yep. That asks some very good questions, I think, about the village and what the effect is going to be on their residents. White Lake Township has previously expressed its opposition. I think there's something on your upcoming White Lake Township agenda just confirming the fact that White Lake Township is opposed. So, yeah, there are many other communities in the western and northwestern parts of the county that are of the same thinking that we are.
David, one thing I'd like to ask, that you could explain for the public that might be watching or is going to watch, the system that is in effect now in Commerce Township, which the village is involved in, the kind of service that we get here due to that service, not regarding the service that's on the ballot. You know, I think it would help the public if they hear that background.
Sure. The service that the village currently gets, it's by virtue of an agreement that we have with Commerce Township. The vendor that services Commerce Township and the village, and also Milford Township, as I understand too, is an organization called People's Express, which is actually based out of Livingston County. And what happens is, we are an opt-out community in terms of the public transit millage, which funds SMART in Oakland County. Council made the decision several years ago to opt out of that service. We do not have to pay the millage. However, under Act 51, which is the road funding mechanism for the state, the way all the legislation is set up and the way that millage is set up, we do receive some municipal credits, which are meant to go for purposes of public transportation. So through the arrangement that we have with Commerce Township, we transfer our municipal credits to Commerce Township. Commerce Township is the one that actually has the contract with People's Express. So our contribution towards Commerce Township's cost is the municipal credits. There are no additional general fund monies that go towards Commerce Township's contract with the People's Express. The service that the village residents and all township residents get is it's curb-to-curb service. So if you need to go to the doctor's, if you need to go to Kroger's, if you need to get to work, you do have to call, as I understand, a few days in advance to reserve the ride, but they will come right to your house, and they will pick you up out at the curb, and they will take you to Kroger's. They'll take you to, we have another resident that goes to dialysis treatments on a regular basis. They'll take you to the doctor's office, and then when you're done, they'll bring you back. So, if this millage proposal passes, the community credits will end. As it stands right now, the arrangement between People's Express and Commerce Township will probably end. That's a decision that Commerce Township would have to make. But the conversations that I've had with Larry Gray, the supervisor over in the township, keep in mind that the impact of this fiscally upon our residents, it's a 10-year millage. It's 0.95 mils per year. In the first year, it would be ballpark about a little bit less than $200,000 in additional tax revenue from the village. And I don't have the exact number, but the tax impact on Commerce Township, you can imagine, is significantly
10 times more.
Yeah, I think it's about $2.5 million or something like that. So, and what Larry has indicated to me is he loves, the township board loves, the township residents, they all love the service that they get for People's Express. But if they're being taxed $2.5 million a year for the new service, it's going to be tough for them to justify spending more money above and beyond that to continue the service with People's Express. So if the millage is approved, as it stands right now, People's Express will no longer be operating in the township. So, and we don't have firm plans. That's another problem with the proposal from the county, is we don't have any firm plans as to what service will actually be provided to our residents if the millage gets approved. The preliminary conceptual drawings, things like that, shows a bus stop somewhere up in the area of Union Lake and Commerce Roads, so, which is maybe 5 or 6 miles from the nearest border of the village. So,
Maybe possibly Walled Lake, right?
or maybe something along 15 Mile and Walled Lake. Yeah. And again, there's talk about these micro-transit, which are smaller buses that are going to get people around, but despite many requests from a lot of different people, the county hasn't provided that information because there is no plan.
They haven't got a plan together yet.
Well, I mean, in short, the explanation that's been provided to a number of the township supervisors in the area is, we don't have a plan. If the millage is approved and we know we have the money, then we'll come up with the plan.
And incidentally, that plan, the first year, Oakland County is going to generate around $65 million. So to have $65 million going to the county and not have a plan put together for it is ridiculous.
Well, a good portion of that money will be spent on figuring out a plan.
Oh, I'm sure it will be.
So what benefit is it?
Yeah, I want to say that there was money allocated for SMART, tens of $million dollars, also for the Western Oakland Transportation Authority, WOTA, for NOTA, which is the Northern Oakland Transportation Authority, for OPC, the Older People's Commission, which is out in the Rochester area, and there's, I forget, I want to say it's $800,000, but don't quote me on that. earmarked in there to go to the county to develop the plan and to put the staffing in place to spend the rest of the money. So,
Make a motion that we adopt the resolution opposing Oakland County public transportation millage.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Malik. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
thank you, Council.
Thanks for putting it together. Okay, we're at the second call to public for opportunity for citizens to address council on any item. Anybody in the public wish to speak? Seeing none? Guess we'll bypass the second call and move on to item G. Will be going into, so we have to motion for item G to go into closed session after agenda item 17. So motion by Duff, second by Dumont. Any discussion?
Can you state the reason for your closed session, please?
Okay. Discuss attorney-client privilege communication pursuant to MCL 15.268 1H, immediately after agenda item 17. So, all in favor?
We need a
roll call, that's right. Roll call vote, please. I caught myself.
Jermaine,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Malik,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
Dumont,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Nedrow,
Yes. Motion passes. Okay, item H, subtopics for the October 26th work session.
Motion to cancel that?
Second.
Okay. Motion by Malik, second by, how's Dumont?
No.
Duff. It's always this side of the table. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Pending business.
None, thank you.
Update from Police Chief Ellsworth.
Good evening. The annual Wolverine Lake Packing Party is a little less than 2 weeks away. We're looking for our volunteers to show up on Saturday morning, October 22nd at Shepherd of the Lakes. It's always a good time, and we're done well before kickoff.
9:30. Yep.
We're done well before kickoff of the football games for the day, so we're really good and very efficient. Number two, we are currently looking to fill another vacancy in the police department. Applications are being accepted until the end of the month. I think in the next month or so, I would like a meeting with the administrative committee to discuss how we can go forward and what direction we're going to go going forward in the police department. And I'll leave it at that for now. I am going to be attending the International Police Chief Conference in Dallas beginning Friday. This opportunity is a grant-funded opportunity where the Bureau of Justice has given us a grant for smaller departments around Michigan. I think there's 20 different smaller departments that awarded these grants to be able to attend. Otherwise, we wouldn't generally, I wouldn't be flying off to Dallas or San Diego. I was supposed to have gone to New Orleans the last 2 years, but the first year it was COVID and that got canceled, and last year the hurricane wiped it out the week before. So I didn't go. This year it's Dallas, and next year it's San Diego. So that sounds like a great time too. But I'll be going to Dallas on Friday. I'll be back hopefully in time for the Water Management Board next Wednesday evening. I hope to attend that with Officer Grunwald. Halloween is approaching fast, and our trick-or-treat hours are from 6 to 8:30 p.m. Just a note for our residents to please keep the leaves off the roadway as they start to fall and people are gathering them up. Keep them off the roadway and only place them on the shoulder prior to the posted pickup times, which I know Andy Stone will be getting those done relatively soon, probably mid to late October. So just keep that in mind. During that storm, it was discovered that our boat lift was damaged, and we have got quotes for a new one. We're going to average it out to right around $15,000 for new boat lift. So we have got some quotes. We're looking for one more quote to come in before I make any recommendation.
There would have had been some work done on the old lift to be able to get that functional for the new boat anyways.
There would be a lot of work
Put that new boat on that.
to do because it's such a deep hole in that new boat.
Yeah.
And it's not a flat bottom boat like the last one has been. I did have a chance to take the new boat out, and it was very nice. What a difference. And with that hull, the way it's shaped, it's very smooth and very steady, so it doesn't flop back and forth like the other one has. The new graphics will be on that boat relatively soon. I'm waiting for Nelson Graphics, a local company here, to get back with me, and we're going to make the arrangements to have it done before we shrink wrap it and winterize it. So that's it. Also, since this is the last council meeting for this actual council, good luck to those being are up for re-election. And we'll see you next month. Thank you.
Chief, I have a question.
Sure.
With the destruction of the lift,
Yes.
is our insurance cover any of
Yes.
that?
We actually have reached out to them. Mr. Gillum has reached out to them. We're waiting to determine just what the final cost is going to be, and we'll present that to them. Hopefully, we'll get some money back.
Okay.
There obviously has been some damage. We will get some money, but
Right.
whether it's to money for a repair or replace, I think that boat lift has done us great wonders for 22 years now. We got our money's worth out of it, and we'll still get some money.
I'm not questioning that. I was just curious if our insurance-
But I think a new lift would be in order, especially with the new boat.
Right.
And it's, with the insurance company, we'll get with them and explain to them what we're planning on doing and see what we can get out of them.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, Bob, I've talked, in fact, I got an email from the insurance adjuster today. They're as anxious as we are to get the third estimate.
Sure.
But the only thing I would point out, and that the chief and I have discussed is, they will be essentially giving us some money to cover the cost of the skeleton, if you will, of
Right.
the old hoist, because that's, if
Sure.
you look at it, it was just cockeyed.
Oh, no, I'm
There are a
not-
couple of the bars that snapped up.
I'm just looking if there's anything available.
Yeah, we're going to get as much as we can, but it's
Sure.
not going to cover
No.
the lift portion of it,
And
hydraulics
after
versus
20
manual.
years
and
plus, you
things
can't
like that.
expect it, so.
It's going to be a small part, but it will all help.
Good.
So,
Thank you.
Okay. We have no treasurer here tonight.
yeah, just by way of explanation, maybe I can just jump into my comments.
Sure,
as long as
absolutely. You follow anyways.
Yeah. Jennifer wanted me to express her regrets. She is just getting over COVID. Today was her first day back in the office. She had good intentions when she came in this morning. She was planning to stick it out and then come to the meeting tonight, but about mid-afternoon, she popped her head around the corner of my office, said, "Dave, I just don't think I'm going to make it tonight." I mean, you could see that she's really been dragging, the virus hit her hard. We're just glad that she's back in the office. So she had planned to be here tonight, but she is just not able to do it. And she wanted me to let everybody know that she apologized, and she'll plan on seeing everybody at next month's meeting. So, that segues into one of my other comments, too. We have been a little bit shorthanded upstairs. I know maybe over the last couple weeks, some phone calls may not have been returned quite as quickly, and maybe some emails weren't answered quite as promptly as they normally are. Water bills haven't gone out yet for our water customers. We had a couple calls today. We're hoping to have those out by the 1st of next week, but it's because we've been shorthanded. I mean, the bug started probably over in the police department, actually the very night of our last council meeting. I came down with it a few days after that. Then one of the administrative assistants, Paige, then came down with it a few days after that. And then last week, Jennifer came down with it. So Tabitha hasn't had it, but she had it over the summer.
She was out of the office too. Yeah, she had it over the summer.
And she was traveling. She was out of the office, too, for a rescheduled vacation. So we appreciate everybody's patience while we have been shorthanded, and hopefully we'll be back at full strength before too long. So absentee ballots have been sent out by the Commerce Township Clerk's Office. if anyone has any questions about it, we had someone call today with a question because they indicated that the council race wasn't on the ballot. I don't know if maybe they got the wrong ballot in the mail, or maybe it's on the backside. That's what I was thinking. Maybe they just didn't look at both sides of the ballot. But if you have questions about your absentee ballots, you really need to call Commerce Township and talk to them. They can help you, whereas all we can do is
Gee, I got 10 of them.
yeah, so. And then as the chief had indicated, leaf pickup will be starting fairly soon. It's been dry. It looks like the leaves are coming down early. And they're coming down fast. So again, watch for the signs posted at the start of your neighborhoods. We'll get that done as quickly as we can. To those of you that are up for, the 4 of you that are up, good luck at next month's election. The election is on Tuesday the 8th, and then our next meeting will be on Wednesday the 9th, the day after. So we'll have a pretty good idea where everybody stands after that. So, but good luck to the 4 of you.
David, before you go, anything new on cutting the growth along Benstein?
Oh, between Benstein Road and the boardwalk?
No,
The Great Wall of Wolverine and the road?
We've reached out to the road commission again about that. I've had residents contact me with complaints. I've indicated that we will pass their complaints along, but have indicated that it would probably help if the residents contact the road commission.
Contact the road commission, is that it, or?
Yeah. Okay. If you go to their website, there is a page where you can report a condition or report a complaint.
Okay.
So you don't have to, if you want, you can call out there. But in addition, if it's easier, you can file an electronic complaint.
Okay.
But again, that's a road that we have no jurisdiction over. We don't have the authority to do it. And if we get out there and start cutting things down, number one, it's a problem for us in terms of staffing and traffic control on a busy road. But above and beyond that, it's really not we have no authority over there. It's really a road commission.
No, the reason I asked you, because I know you've contacted them in the past.
Yes.
That's the reason, so.
As have I. So,
Yeah.
and I know Andy.
And Andy has also,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. I will get on the website.
Is it?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Council comments. We'll start with Mark, I guess.
Glad to hear everybody's starting to recover in the office and things with COVID and everything. It's been a difficult few weeks there. Wish everybody a happy and safe Halloween, and best of luck with everyone on the upcoming election.
Mike?
Heard what Mark said.
Ditto?
Ditto.
Ditto.
Hope you all have a great Halloween and a great month, and if I don't see you next month, it's been a pleasure. Never know.
Wow. Yeah, happy Halloween. Keep up the decorations. Wolverine Lake / Halloween. First prize was what again?
Lowe's
Gift card to Lowe's.
Gift card to Lowe's.
Box of candy.
Happy Halloween, and again, if I don't see you next month, it's been a pleasure.
Two confident people. Mr. Malik?
Oh, yeah. For those of us that are running that are here, good luck. Again, same thing. I hope to see you next month, but if not, you'll see me in the audience. And to the people out there listening, please get out and vote. There are some real important issues with the transit, okay, and then there's personal items for females that are involved in the election, and just a lot of things, and people should get out and vote. And thank you.
And I'll say the same thing. With the transportation millage proposals we have, 4 of you that are running and the other that is not here. So we've got 5 people running for 4 spots. Wish everybody luck. And I guess, like everybody said here, make sure everybody gets out to vote. It's really your duty as a citizen to vote. So not enough people do. And I just want to reiterate the packing party again on the 22nd, 9:30. sharp, but there'll be volunteers there earlier. And we're a little low on stuff so far this year, so we could use some more if anybody's listening. Or maybe it's just a late drop-off, but that gets a little crazy next week at our house. So.
Still need playing cards?
No, I got plenty of those. Yeah, I've got to count 7,500 suckers. We've got. Yeah, we're good. We came through with a couple good things. Yeah. Better Made came through with 1,000 boxes of, or 1,000 bags of potato chips, and 50-some cases of Girl Scouts cookies. So yeah, we've got some good stuff. So we could just use some more if we're gonna go. There's like 1,000 people being deployed from Michigan, from the reserves this year, and they already are.
Also, a shout out to the fire department, Commerce Fire, for always volunteering to help us unload.
Yeah, yep. So it'll be a good time. Hopefully the weather holds. Got the equipment all lined up, so we should be good to go. And with that, motion to adjourn. Oh, motion to go into closed session, sorry.
Move to closed session.
Motion to go into
Closed
closed
session.
session.
Second. Motion by Duff, second by Malik. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Ta-ta.
Ta-ta. We probably just stay here.
Well, we don't have an audience, so I guess we can stay here. So.
Yeah, you could probably cut it off.
Yep.
Shut her down.
Yeah. When we come out, it'll only be.
Would you need it back on to close